Morning, Pagan Moonberryan, coffee, apothecary. It's where we do these shows. Let's talk about Appalachian ghost traps. I said Appalachian instead of Appalachian because I live in the South and that's where these stories come from. Southern United States, East Coast, hill country. I mean, really, this started in Europe. I'm not gonna lie to you, but they're still doing it now, today, here. So that's what we're gonna talk about it. Probably heard people talking about putting souls in jars. You probably heard it a lot because this idea is very, very old. Think jinns and genies and other types of souls in jars. There's a lot of lore on this. It's cross-continental. It's everywhere. But here in Appalachia, they have a very interesting story about how to get a ghost in a jar. There are instructions. I know, there are never instructions. It's fantastic. Right, for this belief to work, you are gonna have to assume with me that ghosts and hexes are almost the same thing. It's fine. Just get it in your head, pretend. If you don't believe it, because otherwise the story doesn't make any sense. We also have to remember that ghosts in this part of the country are easily distracted. They have to stop and count things. Sometimes they get tied up in twisty things. It's just the way it works. They're very hyper focused. Ghosts have ADD. That's important because that's how you get them in the jar. Alright, here's the basic idea. Is that if a ghost is coming to get you, or someone has sent a hex your way, you can trap them in a jar. But there's a process. Of course there's a process. There's always a process. This is never simple. First, you gotta get a jar. And you're gonna fill the jar with all kinds of nasty things. Specifically, old rusty screws, pieces of glass, weird nasty stuff that you will find that ghosts might get tied up in. Just fill that jar right up. And then, this is the even grosser part, you gonna pee in that jar. The idea is that makes the jar either smell like you or have some of your essence in it, and if the hex or the ghost is looking for you, then they might mistake that jar of pee for you. This is not unlike hunting. Then you're going to take the jar and you're going to bury it somewhere on your property. Not too close to the house. Don't do that. We don't want the ghost to get all the way up to your house and then get through the door. A little bit farther away. Not too far, because ghosts are coming for you. If it is a hex and it's coming from another person, you have to know which direction the hex is coming from. So get out your compass. Figure out where the person that hates you lives, because they're probably doing this at their house, and then put this jar, bury it in the ground, somewhere between you and that person. Ghosts are apparently scent trackers in this scenario. This way, when the ghost or the hex is traveling across wherever to come to get to you, it will pass over the jar, and because the jar smells like you, it's gonna think the jar is you, and it'll get inside. And once it's inside, it's gonna get all wrapped up in these screws and rusty old nails and bent up pieces of wire and bits of glass, and just get stuck in there. It's in that jar now. That ghost not coming to your house because it's trapped in that jar. Probably put a lid on it. You don't want that escaping. Now generally you gonna leave this jar where it is. Leave it alone. Don't mess with it. You don't want to risk the Oogie Boogie getting out. We don't want that. That's bad. That could wreak all kinds of havoc. That's not a good idea. Unless you're into that sort of thing, and then mark where you put the jar and dig it back up. I don't know. Put it on your shelf. Keep it for later, in case you want to unleash it on someone else. Of course, that other else person would not smell like you. That's probably why that's not part of the lore. I'm just encouraging you to do awful things because I think it's funny. No, this is not the fancy ghost trap that you saw Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray throwing out, that they had to put in a biohazard thing. It's not like that. Although, technically, human urine probably should be put in a biohazard thing. I mean, pee's sterile. You're fine, really. And if you got a ghost or a hex coming after you, you have bigger problems than a jar of pee. Logic. Use it. Also supposes that you know that the ghost or the hex is coming to you before it's done. I don't know how you would know that sort of thing. Well, you know, I did call a lady an asshole at 8 a.m. this morning. Maybe I should put out a jar of my own. I bet she didn't like that, but she would be an asshole. Why do you need a ghost trap when you can just keep the ghost light on? Because this story came from early settlers, and they did not have electricity. They had candles. You can't leave a candle burning all night. Burn your damn house down. People, those colonists, should have been afraid of ghosts. They were not nice people in the beginning. There were already people here, and they were mean to them. I hope they got hexed. I said it, and I'm not taking it back. Also, we know from German folklore that most of the Oogie Boogies came out of the Black Forest. And here in Appalachia was probably the greatest amount of forest anyone had ever seen. Because there was no colonization at that time, so nobody had chopped down all the trees. Thank you. I'd be peeing in a jar too if I had done that shit. Hell, I'd probably be peeing my pants. That's not nice. Don't do that. Man, I am salty today. I think that's a sufficient amount of salt for this early in the morning. Ghosts. You can trap them with rusty screws and your pee. Now you know. Today I learned. That's it. That's all I got. Ghost traps. Appalachia. How to make them. It was so boring my dog fell asleep. Enjoy your day.